Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
After an eventful outing in the land of Heineken, croquettes, and orange smoke bombs, we find ourselves at the Alan Wilson design 16-turn 2.4-mile circuit that opened almost 20 years ago, primarily as a haven for motorcycle aficionados with the largest cycle-focused museum in the world on site. Much like our last round at Zandvoort, tonight's venue, known for its seemingly roller coaster-like corners and a lack of heavy braking zones that may keep passing to a minimum, but all the while put a heavy reliance on strategy. Welcome everybody to Birmingham, Alabama and Barber Motorsports Park for Season 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and of course we've got Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the best camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. So Larry, as they say, sometimes there's no peace for the weary, and in Barber we've got a circuit that keeps your hands moving throughout an entire lap and really makes you plan out your passes, and it should make for some very frazzled nerves, I think, by the end of this 60-minute run to the checker.
I think it might. You know, you talk about the orange smoke bombs. I think you might see a few in the crowd here in between the spider statues and whatever else they have around Barber, because this place is, in a way, a lot like Zandvoort. It's a whole lot of twisty, narrow, some off-camber stuff, and it's going to make for some interesting multi-class racing tonight, as it seems to always, but especially here tonight. A lot of these drivers are starting to become familiar with this track, and I think that's helping a little bit. But man, this is a tough track to race multi-class on. It should be fun.
Oh gosh, yeah, and when you consider, and we'll talk about it obviously as the night goes on, you know, we've got, of course, GT4 cars battling it out tonight, TCR cars, and when you look at their relative lap times here during the week in practice, Larry, about a second to 2 seconds separating the faster GT4 cars from the TCR cars around Barber. So yeah, it's going to make for a very hectic very crowded track. But, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But first, why don't we pass things off as we do each and every round to Kevin Ford so he can tell you about all the intricacies of Barber Motorsports Park in tonight's track guide.
Welcome, everyone, to Leeds, Alabama, and the incredible Barber Motorsports Park. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around a relatively new course to the motorsports world. 2003, this track was constructed and originally designed as a motorcycle track. It did not take long. The motorsports world and auto racing got a hold of it right away, and they've been racing both here ever since. Well, let's head down the front straightaway here as you notice our pit area to the left. And no main grandstands here on the front straightaway. All the fans will gather on the hillsides to watch the races here at Barber. Heading down into this very fast drop off to the left, a bit of an off-camber turn 1 there. This takes you right into a right-hander of turns 2 and 3. Very tight wrapping carousel there out of 3. This will bring us up a hill, out of a blind entry there through 4. And then overtaking starts right here, heading down into this hairpin of turn 5. Very popular for passing coming down into the brake zone of that corner. Get a good run up off this hill as this will bring you onto the next straightaway. This track kind of wraps back and forth with these parallel straights next to each other. Heading up here into the corkscrew of turns 7, 8, and 9. Here we go, down into 9 here. Tight wrapping right-hander on exit. Up into 3rd gear. Get a good run up off this corner to get into this straightaway here. This has a slight little set of S's in the middle of it here. Turns 10 and 11. Right back to throttle. Back down the main backstretch here now. This will take us into the drop-off of 12 and 13. Now back to the right for 13. Up over the corner, now down into 14. This will take us to our final 2 corners here. This tight wrapping right-hander of 15. And then down the hill here, just a slight lift of the throttle, right back to gas, and up out of 16, down onto the front straightaway. There you go. It's a busy place here, isn't it? Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Barber Motorsports Park. And Larry, I think it was pretty clear watching Kevin hustle that BMW M4 GT4 around Barber that you know, the hands just never, no matter how smooth you are, the hands never stop moving here at Barber. I mean, everything just switches from left to right. And, you know, as we were talking off air, you know, other than perhaps going into the hairpin, turn 5 here over by that big giant spider, you know, there just aren't any slow corners here for drivers to, you know, to try and shove the nose in or anything.
But there'll be a couple of attempts at that, you can guarantee, whether it be coming into the last set of corners right before a pit in, as we're watching Brandon Gorworth do right now, or like you mentioned down there by the spider turn there at turn 5. There'll be a lot of nudging, but it'll also be a lot of elbows out going around this place just to use it up. So I think we're going to see a lot of attempts, and I think even going down to turn 1 as we're getting on board here with Brandon Whitworth, you'll see a lot of that as well. So I think there's a couple of opportunities, and there sometimes are created extra opportunities because it's multi-class and they start doing intermixing. So I think we'll see some of that going on tonight. It should be pretty fun.
All right, well, tell you what, Larry, I had originally gotten word that he would not be joining us tonight, but and was actually going to be our guest next week. Apparently nobody told Eric. Why don't we quickly bring in Eric Violet, driver of the number 89 D2D iRacing Civic Type R. He's waiting on us to go out for qualifying, so we might as well bring him in. He is currently your leader in TCR and won round 2. And I'd like to talk about, I think, about some of the initiatives that they have here in the Ricmotech series. Let's bring him on in.
Eric Violet joining us here in the pre-qualifying commentary booth. Eric, how are we doing tonight?
Hey, doing all right. I know you got someone else coming up after they get done with their run, but figured I'd let you know I'm here while I'm letting the track cool off, but it doesn't seem like it's doing that much today.
Just another hot day down in the south here at Barber Motorsports Park. But it gives us a good chance to catch up with you. I understand that you've been doing some, instructing for some of the folks here in the TCR cars. What can you tell us about how that works and how drivers can get some help?
Well, they can reach out to me, on the Discord channel. or the driver chat, just ping me there. But this crew is pretty quick this year. There's a couple people that took me up on it, and I think they already improved enough where they are a threat. So
no more instructions then?
no, still open. It's the TCR group is a pretty good community, so we help each other out. Not so much maybe on setup changes, but I don't think it matters much for me because it's a Honda, and just Brandon and I think running the Hondas. All the rest of them are Hyundais, which are darn quick around here. So I'll be lucky if I get out of here with a fourth. I think is probably about my day today.
Well, that's good. A good humble chat there. But in terms of the differences of these cars in the TCR field, what is it about them that brings out the strengths at a car like the Hyundai here at Barber, or perhaps the Honda in other circuits? Is it just the powertrain? Is it the way the car handles? Is it gearing? I mean, what are the biggest differences that drive those strengths?
I think it's mostly handling. The Hyundais just seem to be a little bit easier to turn. We were doing testing, and I made the mistake of thinking of long term, because the Hyundai seem to chew the tires a little bit more, and they get real hot real fast all the time. It's really weird. But these short races, Brandon and I probably should have just gone with the Hyundai. I'm not saying that's all of it, but it's we were both like a little bit quicker with the Hyundais, but I chose the Honda for the tire wear, not thinking we're only running 60 minutes. Like, we're not taking tires today,
Yeah. Well, let's see how that pays off. I'm going to let you go, get you out there for qualifying. Good luck, and with any luck, maybe we'll talk to you in about an hour.
I think I'll be talking to you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Eric Violet from D2D iRacing, currently your leader in the TCR class. And as he goes out for qualifying, we've been watching some of our other drivers out, as we do every single round here in the sports car series. We give the drivers 4 laps in order to set their fast time and set the grid for tonight's race. And although we're jumping around and seeing a lot of cars out on track, each one of them, it'll appear as though they are the only driver on track that they have all of Barber Motorsports Park to themselves here in qualifying. And you can see now, as we have just about a third of qualifying complete, Mike Dam is your current leader in GT4 Pro. You can pick out those GT4 Pro cars. They've got the red number boards, the red mirrors, the red end plates on their wings, and also the red windshield banners as well. And there is Mike Dam, our provisional pole sitter, with a fast time of a 128.35. Chris Thorman in his Aston Martin is currently second fastest in Pro. Kevin Ford in his BMW M4 GT4 currently third fastest. If we take a look at the GT3 AMs, who you can see by the green mirrors and green number boards, green windshield banners, and green end plates on the wings, Steve Daniel, who is supposed to be our pre-race interview, hopefully he'll be able to join us, is currently not running first any longer. He is running second fastest in GT3 AM, as Bobby Childs just turns in a smoking 129.82 in his Aston Martin. I don't know how the heck he drives that car with an engine in the front instead of the rear. But Bobby Childs is currently your provisional pole sitter in AM, then Steve Daniel, then Russ Ruddick. Then Russ Ruddick driving his BMW M4 GT4. And then if we take a look at the TCR cars, Kevin Carlisle, who is running the Hyundai Elantra, he is currently your provisional pole sitter with a fast time of a 131.14. That's about 2/10 up on Brandon Whitworth from D2D iRacing, driver number 43 Honda Civic Type R. Then we've got Austin Knight in his Hyundai Velociter. There it is in the Lead Paw Racing, slip of the tongue. Lead Paw Racing Hyundai Velociter. They're currently third fastest in qualifying here. So Larry, quickly, why don't we take a quick look and recap of Zandvoort and also where we stand in the points with each of our classes. And we'll start off with TCR, as long as we're just taking a look at the rundown, how they were doing in qualifying. Taking the win 2 weeks ago, I guess now actually 3 weeks ago at Zandvoort, was Eric Violet, who we just spoke to in his D2D iRacing Civic Type R, with Austin Knight finishing on the second step of the podium in his Velociter, then Brandon Whitworth in the D2D racing machine, that number 42 machine, taking third and standing on the last step of the podium. We had Brad Husty and Eduardo Lorente rounding out the top 5. And if we take a look at the points in TCR as they stand now, this is round 3, so this is going to be based on our first 2 rounds, both at Sebring and then at Zandvoort. It is Eric Violet standing atop the order with 74 points. That is 4 up on his teammate Whitworth, and then another 9 points back to Austin Knight. We've got Andre Saunders in his Hyundai Elantra, who is actually sitting tied with Knight for third. I should have noticed that right up front. And then we've got Brad Husty in his Hyundai Elantra from Husty Racing, currently running in 5th, 3 points back from there. If we go and take a look, we'll move over to GT4, and let's take a look at the AM category first. Taking the win at Zandvoort in his Porsche 718 Cayman was Steve Daniel from SKKJ Racing, finishing second, Russ Ruddock in his BMW M4 GT4, and then Robert Brist in his BMW, Ruddock for Flying Tortoise Motorsports, Brist for RFC Racing, and then we had finishing just off the podium Greg Mack and Chris Sabo. Mack driving a McLaren 570, Sabo in a Cayman. And so if we take a look at the points now after 2 rounds, Russ Ruddock in his BMW M4 GT4 is currently your points leader with 46 points. That's 4 points up on both Steve Daniel and Greg Mack, who are tied for second. Again, Daniel in the Cayman and Mack in the McLaren, and then sitting in 5th right now in the points would be the Aston Martin Vantage of Bobby Childs. All right, so it looks like, Larry, we've got Steve Daniel. He's finished up qualifying. Let's bring him in quickly, and then we'll talk about GT4 Pro right after that. But let's bring in Steve Daniel, currently sitting atop the GT3 AM Championship.
All right, Steve Daniel has joined us, and Steve, you've got your qualifying run in for tonight. Looks like you'll be starting right there, not too far there behind Bobby. It looks like so far, unless somebody else lays a lap down. But what are your feelings about Barber as a track here in the middle of the season?
You know, it's one of those tracks that is a lot of fun, but it seems like it should be easy, but it's one I struggle with consistency. Really hard to stay consistent around this track.
Yeah, we noted at the start of the broadcast, it kind of even resembles a little bit of Zandvoort that we ran last time out, which was a challenging track. It might be an extra lane of asphalt around here. Otherwise, it seems like you're always bending the wheel around this place to try and lay down that lap time. Does that become a challenge then when you're wheel to wheel with someone, not just doing qualifying, to try and get that quick lap and to stay with someone?
Yeah, absolutely. You tend to try to push it a little hard into some of the corners, and you actually have to go, that definitely ease in and go fast out is a good rule here.
Well, you're coming off of the win in the M class in the last round after the rougher start there at Sebring. Still though, you got yourself in second position. Who do you see as maybe the other challengers for this race and then going forward the rest of the season?
Yeah, I definitely think Bobby's really showing some great pace. Not sure what he's been doing with his practice, but he has really improved over the last couple seasons, so he's going to be a tough one, but he's had a couple unfortunate incidents, so I have to be ready to take advantage of those.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it with Bobby. He's got some incredible speed, but luck isn't always on his side. So,
yes.
But consistency seems to always win championships as well. We know that we always see you're pretty consistent right there in your positioning. So do you have is tonight a target to go out and try and take winning points in the M category, or are you just trying to stay alive for the hour?
Yeah, this one's a little bit smaller group tonight. I think the summertime we're always a little bit shorter on people, so I got to finish the race to get the points tonight, and that's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with the pro category, of course, you guys are always racing whatever's out there, right? If there's something with sheet metal and tires, you're going to be racing against it. Do you challenge yourself against that pro category? So, do you like to run in the top 10 in that mix, or as a target or a goal? Or do you just try more worry about only the M category?
No, top 10 is definitely my goal, and anytime you can get ahead of some of the pro class, it definitely gives you a little boost.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you about is you're one of the few drivers still out there running in the Cayman. We're seeing a lot of the the Aston Martins out there. Have you considered a car switch, or are you just really enjoying the Porsche?
You know, I've been driving the Porsche for last few seasons, and it's one of those, I don't know if I want to keep learning all these new cars, so I'm sticking with what I know for the moment.
Sometimes that familiarity pays off in that consistency. So, good luck tonight. And, I think it'll be, although it's a smaller group, it's always a challenge. And certainly trying to get into the top 10 of that pro class is never an easy feat as well. So, good luck tonight, Steve. And maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you at the end of the night.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go, Steve Daniel. And of course, I made a mistake there. I said Steve was sitting atop the GT3 AM category right now. He is running second.
He probably didn't mind that mistake.
Yeah, I'm sure he did not. And who knows? After tonight, things might be different.
He did win the last round, so there was that.
Exactly. So he's on a streak. All right. So while things are winding down here in qualifying, and we've got Dam, Thorman, Martineau, your top three in pro. We've got Childs, Daniel, and Ruddick, top three in AM. And then sitting up at the top of the TCR class, we've got Carlisle, then Eric Violet, who we spoke to just before qualifying, only 85 thousandths of a second off the provisional pole, and then Brandon Whitworth, your top three. Let's quickly look at GT4 Pro. Whereas 3 weeks ago, Justin Ream took the win in his Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche Cayman. Big news tonight is Justin has picked up a new schedule with the day job and is likely out for the rest of the season. So not going to be able to follow up on that win from Zandvoort. Mike Dam from Orion Racing in his BMW M4 finished second, and his teammate Travis Schwenke came home in third at Zandvoort. And interesting word, we don't know if we'll see Schwenke tonight. Apparently he just had the power go out on him about 15 minutes ago, and so hasn't been able to make his way out. So let's quickly run down the points as we're getting the people up on grid, where we've got Mike Dam is your points leader in pro with a 10-point advantage over the Aston Martin machine driven by Chris Thorman from D2D Racing. Cameron Martineau running another 2 points back from there in the ST Racing BMW M4. And then we've got the Aston Martins of David Payton and Jeff Jacobs. Payton with D2D Racing, Jacobs, of course, with streetsurvival.org. And so that is how we stand after 2 rounds, going into round 3 tonight here at Barber. And let's take a look at the starting grid, Larry.
All right, on the pole tonight for the pro class and for the overall in the GT4s is Orion Racing's Mike Dam with that 127.9, only driver to crack into the 27s in qualifying. On his outside from ST Racing Esports is going to be Cameron Martineau, about a half a second back on the qualifying times. Row 2, D2D Racing on the inside is going to be Chris Thorman, and on the outside his teammate David Payton. On row 3, the inside is going to be our very own Kevin Ford in the Flying Tortoise Motorsport BMW. He'll be lined up alongside Chris Walsh in the ST Racing Esports outfit. On row 4, we got the first of our AM category drivers, Bobby Childs on the inside, D2D Racing there, and his teammate, but running in pro on the outside, Brennan Horan. So interestingly there, the AM driver outqualifies the teammate pro driver. Should be interesting. On row 5 on the inside, we just talked to him, Steve Daniel, SKKJ Racing. He'll be lined up with Russ Ruddick in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports outfit. And then on the last row, John Casey from 046 Racing.
All right, so let's take a look now at the and actually, I believe, and we've got them listed, Robert Hartley and Travis Schwenke. As I mentioned, Schwenke has the power outage. Robert Hartley was having some shifter issues. He may not make the race. He's working on getting that equipment fixed. So let's take a look at TCR, where we've got Kevin Carlisle in his NerdWorks Racing Hyundai. He is your pole sitter. Eric Violet from D2D Racing, we were talking to him just a little bit earlier, in his Honda Civic Type R will be on the outside of row 1 in TCR. Brandon Whitworth, his teammate from D2D Racing in his Honda Civic, will start third, with Austin Knight, podium finisher from Zandvoort, starting fourth in his Lead Paw Racing Hyundai Velociter. Then we've got Andre Saunders in the number 72 Hyundai. He will start fifth. Brad Husty from Husty Racing, also in a Hyundai, he will start sixth. He'll start, sixth. Then we've got Andrew Kissinger from Eclipse Racing. Andrew in the number 21 machine is also racing a Hyundai. And then we've got Tom Jenkins from TGT Racing. Tom, oddly enough, He's also driving a Hyundai, the number 37 machine. Actually, I'm showing it as the 37 machine, and we show it as 68 on timing and scoring. Yeah, we'll figure it out somewhere along the way. And then finally, Marlon Jones in the Lead Paw Racing Hyundai Velociter, the number 25 car. He's going to start tail end Charlie in class as our drivers starting to make their way around for the pace lap here and starting to make it through some of these. You can see here coming down through the corkscrew, or the Barber Motorsports version of the corkscrew, Larry. How, you know, that may be actually one of the straightest portions of the track that you'll have there as you wind your way down through there. It's certainly pretty challenging.
Yes, it is. That'll be interesting on the opening laps here as the crowd's a little tightened up. But as always, one thing to remind our viewers, these are split starts, of course. GT4s will start by themselves, and then a little bit later the TCRs. But within the GT4s, Pro and Am will run together, as I mentioned there, with the G2D teammates, in fact, on the same row. So while most of the Am drivers are somewhat bunched up, no guarantee here at the start that they'll stay that way, as they will all start together. And we'll see if the advantage goes to the pole sitter, who's normally here on the left side. Sometimes on the right side, though, will be Cameron Martineau. Sometimes the driver on the right has that advantage coming down the front straight, and we'll see if that pays off, because turn 2 comes right back in to make the inside be on the right. So keep your eye on that.
All right, so pace car is on the pit lane. As we say almost every round, we do have a real live starter here tonight. Drivers are not allowed to pass until they get past the start-finish line, however. But Mike Dam has the field. Cameron Martineau in the other BMW right beside, and green flag is in the air for our GT4 cars as they now head their way down towards turn 1. And we'll see if Martineau can hold that position along the outside, where he would then be in line coming up the hill and into turn number 2. And indeed, he drops into first place, move Mike Dam back to second, and then side by side we've got Thorman and Ford as they come around turn 3. As we've got our TCR cars, they now get the start, and they are on their way on the right-hand side of your screen, as we've got Carlisle and Violet, your front row, the Hyundai on pole, the CTR, the Civic Type R to the outside, and we'll see if things change or any different for them. But it looks like our pole sitter in TCR, Kevin Carlisle, looks like he got a great start up towards turn 2, but both he and Violet are now side by side as they round up that little crest over by turn 3 and start to make the run down towards turn 4. And Larry, you know, we see this all the time in the TCR. These cars, you know, as Violet said, there might be a bit of a handling difference in the way that they are set up and how they use tires, but it is so, they are seemingly so close. And typically in a TCR race, either locked nose to tail or side by side, as they are right now, as they make their way down towards that hairpin.
And they're going 3 wide, and that's going to turn into disasters. They've got somebody going backwards already, and that looks
that is one of the Velocitors of Lead Paw Racing. And the car dropping towards the back of the field is Austin Knight in the number 21 machine. There he is in that yellow and blue number 21 machine. He's got a long way to go to get back up to the rest of the TCR field. As we have our GT4 drivers now completing lap number 1, and Cameron Martineau, he is your leader, with Mike Dam running very closely behind in second. Kevin Ford sitting in third. And then we've got the, you can see there, the trio there, Thorman, Payton, and Walsh, all nose to tail, battling it out just outside the top 3.
Yeah, well, I was watching that as the CCRs were getting their green flag down the front straight. You had these GT4s 3 wide through turn 5 on their first time through. At that point, it was Ford, Thorman, and Walsh. Ford ended up getting the best of that little battle there, and now he's up into that 3rd spot, leaving Thorman and Walsh to battle with Payton back there. So getting a little interesting here in the GT4s. And then you talk about that spin that Austin Knight had. That looked like it was a whole lot of 3 wide that doesn't work so well going into that corkscrew essence down there through turn 7. And it looked like Austin was the one that sort of lost out on that deal. But the rest of the field seems to be running clean at this point. Austin, though, seems to be in the pits for repairs.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Larry, we've got the replay queued up of that incident on the TCR start. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened.
There he is on the inside, and he hits the curb, in fact, that kind of sent him off into the other cars. More than anything else, it was just that aggressiveness in opening lap, but those curbs, boy, they are tall around here.
Yeah, they are. And given how easily these cars get unloaded on some, and speak about getting unloaded, there's Brennan Horan dropping a wheel coming out of the final corner onto the front straight. He manages to gather that Aston Martin back up and continue on. But right now, Horan running tail end of the GT4 Pro field back in 7th.
Now looking at this battle out in front, though, they're starting to already check out 2.5 seconds now over Kevin Ford or Kevin Martineau and Mike Dam. These guys, although they've swapped spots from their starting grid, they really haven't moved any further apart. They're about a car length between. Look at the different lines there as we're on board with Mike Dam. He takes the tight exit off of 5, Martineau taking the wide. Didn't really make much of a difference in either, but it's interesting to see those differences between these two high-level drivers. Yeah,
and and we'll have to obviously continue to watch this. I would suspect, Larry, that when these GT4 drivers come in for what will likely be their sole pit stop, unless, of course, they get into some argy-bargy out on track that forces some repairs. I'm wondering if those much tighter lines, at least on a portion of the course that Mike Dam seems to be taking, might impact front tire wear, because we likely are not going to see these GT4 drivers take tires here. And you can see as Dam, and I think Dam is trying to look for a way to get underneath Martineau, is opening up that corner as wide as possible over in the final turn complex to bring him onto the front straight.
Yeah, that turn 14 there, coming down in sort of right near that pit in. It's a very interesting decreasing radius corners. A variety of lines are possible. When you're by yourself, you tend to run wide, but easily the trailing cars, we saw Mike Dam do, can almost tuck their nose up underneath. And didn't quite pay off there, but in the long run, that peaking underneath certainly gets him ahead of the leading driver there. But looking
and you saw
back
there
in the pack.
And you saw there where Dam poked his head out just a little bit, also going into turn 1. Likely not affecting Martin all that much because they were carrying very similar speeds into that turn 1, turn 2 complex. We take a look a little bit further back right now, where we've got we're on board right now with Chris Walsh sitting right behind the number 60 D2D iRacing Aston Martin of Chris Thorman, and you can see there that Thorman is right on the tail of the BMW, the number 32 machine of Kevin Ford. So 3-car battle right now for everybody that is not Cameron Martineau or Mike Dam, it looks like. And there's another driver there in that battle as well, and that's David Payton in his Aston Martin. And that pretty much rounds out the pro field. Brennan Horn a little bit further back, sitting mired right in the middle of the AM category at the moment.
He's right in the mix there, kind of trailing his D2D iRacing teammate Bobby Child on track, although Bobby running in the AM category now. We've got Brennan acting as a blocker right in front of Steve Daniel, you can see. So there's a shot of Bobby coming down the front straight in the number. He's in the 88. That one right there is the 45, though. That's his teammate Brennan. And Brennan is just kind of blocking Steve Daniel in the Porsche. You can see Steve can't get past him. Talk about opening the gap, though, for Bobby. There may be some team orders happening here in
say,
GTD.
way to go, Checo.
Yes. Or the GTD Racing Minister of Defense.
That's right. All right, so we're working, right now we're working lap 5. And again, this is a 60-minute battle to the checkered flag for both our GT4 and TCR drivers. And you can see right now that battle going on back in TCR. This is the battle for second right now. With Whitworth, Saunders, and Violet. And you can see there we've got to add insult to injury as Lead Paw Racing's Austin Knight getting a 5-second penalty that's going to be assessed after the race. So he gets penalized with some damage and a spin on lap 1, and gets penalized with responsibility for the incident post-race. But we're watching right now, this is the battle for second. With Whitworth, Saunders, and also Eric Violet as, I don't want to say it's a surprise, Larry, but already rather early. It looks like Kevin Carlisle on his Hyundai Elantra has started to check out here in TCR.
And Mike Dam has made the move up in front on Cameron Martineau. So we have a new leader, and that is Mike Dam. They're still only a car length apart, but he was able to stick his nose in somewhere to get on by. It looked like at least coming into the turn 13-14 complex.
Yeah, just where
he's got the lead.
Yeah, just where we were watching before, and we saw the mightily different lines, and it looked like Dam was almost trying an over-under through turn 14, and he gets the move done and is your new leader. And I think more importantly, without an excess amount of fighting over that position there, they've really maintained their gap back to the troika of Ford, Thorman, and Walsh in that battle for third position.
Yeah, that shows you the efficiency of that pass, that it wasn't a whole lot of battling and side by side, which would have brought the pack in. He was able to make the one move, and perhaps Cameron didn't put up the fight just for that reason. Thought, let's let him by. We've got another 53 minutes in this race.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see how this unfolds.
Long way to go. And so, Larry, as we're taking a look here through the field, one of the platforms, at least in GT4, I don't see many of out here right now. Actually, there are two different platforms. There's one platform in particular that we don't see many of this race, and that is the McLaren 570S. Now, earlier this week, iRacing made some updates to their platform, and one of the updates was to bring a new GT4 platform, and that is the BMW, probably not the BMW, but the Mercedes AMG GT4 into the fold. And it has been announced that starting with our next round, which is going to be at Laguna Seca in 2 weeks, that basically the AMG is in, the McLaren 570S is out.
Oh no! Speaking of out,
that's right, out and ouch. That is Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine. He came up right behind David Payton. In the number 64 Aston Martin, got under the nose there and just lost the rear end of the car right into the Armco.
I almost wonder if he almost touched into the back of Payton, and unfortunately that caused him to lose that control. But if he, either way, either near contact or full contact, it was not a good thing. So he's now lost that position, as well as now fallen in behind his teammate and AM leader Bobby Childs, who's still nursing that 3-second lead over Steve Daniels. So now he's got another teammate. He's got in between. He's got Brennan Horn,
he's got a whole
now
phalanx there of D2D racing
yes.
Aston Martins to separate himself from second place in AM.
And that's now meant that this battle for third now is down to the three of them: the Ford, Walsh, and Payton. Still a nose to tails there, and a couple of BMWs and an Aston. You can see them running around. That's ever so difficult. Decreasing radius turn 14, then the little flick through the dip into turn 1. It's a very interesting set of corners right through there, and just challenges the drivers to balance the cars and not to lose it in the grass on a 1, because that'll just hand positions over to the guys behind them. But right now, Kevin Ford doing fantastic work to just keep the crowd behind him for now.
All right, as we watch here, Kevin Ford, who was out at Sebring and unfortunately didn't fare very well in his first outing back with the Sportscar series in quite some time, but certainly showing some very good pace tonight and able to hold off Chris Walsh and David Payton for third for the time being here.
He's trying, but I suspect this battle is going to see some movements here. Not in the too distant future. I think there's going to be somebody getting some aggression. Not sure who it is, but we'll see if maybe Chris Walsh or Payton decide to get a little bit rowdy.
All right, as they go under braking down here into the little dip, and then start to make that rise back up the hill up towards 13, 14. Also want to talk about quickly, Larry, that of course, we just mentioned the changes here with the Mercedes in, the McLaren out, but the drivers that are racing the McLarens will be able to basically make a free change over to another platform. And one of the reasons for this is that there is a limitation in the iRacing platform that you can only have up to 8 different cars in the same class in these races. And unfortunately, unfortunately or fortunately, GT4 is now sitting at 9 cars. So it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult.
It's been a booming popular category for iRacing over the last couple of seasons. So we talk about, Ricmotech seasons, of course, we're in the middle of a season here. But from an iRacing standpoint, they are literally tonight starting their week 1 of their new season. So that's why things like the GT4 Mercedes are getting introduced and having to figure out, how do we get 9 cars into a race when the platform doesn't yet allow it? But I think what we're doing here is probably the right move. And bringing in the new one. I believe the only driver in the series so far this season was running the McLaren. I think it was Greg Mack.
Exactly, and as you can see, Greg Mack not here this evening.
I promise you, he's not just wallowing in self-pity that he can't drive his McLaren. I'm sure he had another conflict come up tonight.
Yeah, it just seems to be going that way, as we're now just a little bit over, surprisingly, just a little bit over 10 minutes into this race. And yeah, Larry, as we continue to watch this battle with Kevin Ford, Chris Walsh, and David Payton, you just have to wonder when the dam is going to break. And I think I used that joke last week with the MX-5s.
It works way better. We're talking about the lead between Martineau and Dam, but I think the dam in that case was Cameron Martineau. Because Mike Dam has now opened up about a 1.5 second gap over Cameron once he was able to take that lead. And there you can see he's got 6-7 car lengths on him now, and there's the data to showing it where every lap just 3/4 tenths. It's starting to just inch away from Cameron. So Cameron's got to work pretty hard to hang with Mike. Mike's got some serious pace here tonight.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show, Larry, how for those first 5 laps or so, how difficult it is to make a pass here for somebody who is showing quite a bit more pace, as Mike Dam is. All right, and Dam almost dropping a wheel coming out through the corkscrew there. So as he now starts to open things up in TCR, and as we take a look, Kevin Carlisle opening up now almost a 3.8 second advantage over the rest of the TCR field. And again, I'm just absolutely stunned by this, knowing how closely matched the TCRs typically are. Now, that little incident on lap 1 with Austin Knight may have opened things up a little bit for TCR and might have given that very quick early advantage to Carlisle. Or maybe it's the number 72. I don't know. You can see here maybe making up a little bit of ground is Brandon Whitworth, currently sitting at about 3.6 seconds back. So he's got a long way to go and nobody to draft off of to get there.
Well, Carlisle's got some pretty good pace. He's showing at least early in this race. We'll see how he is at saving tires. As Eric Violet mentioned in the pre-race interview, that he didn't expect anyone to take tires this race. Tire wear wouldn't be a big of an issue, but you start still, even a 1 hour race, you wear through them early, especially those fronts, and could come back to haunt you later in the race. And I suspect this track is very, very tough on tires, given the number of decreasing radius corners. Yeah,
you're definitely loading the fronts up quite a bit here at Barber, and you can see right there as that Civic Type R took a set going through 14 that it was really leaning on the side. Well, not leaning on the sidewalls, but you could see how much it needed all that extra camber in the front. As we take a look, and Larry, there you go. We've got a change now. Our new 3rd place runner is Chris Walsh, as he manages to get around Kevin Ford. And you have to ask, is David Payton the next one to? Is he the next one to leap in that Aston Martin?
Yeah, I think the move there for Walsh puts now he and his teammate Martineau sitting 2nd and 3rd. But Ford's showing still some pretty good pace tonight. We'll see now if he starts watching his mirrors too much, and maybe giving an opportunity for Payton, or maybe Kevin will kind of buckle down and try and stick to the back of Chris Walsh. This will be a little bit interesting now as things settle into a different order for the first time.
And there you go, as we just saw Mike Dam, who is fuel is, and it's still early on in the race, obviously, but as the fuel loads are getting lighter, Mike Dam just runs his fastest lap of the race, fastest lap of anybody, at a 27.99, 127.99 that is, and I think that was another 2 tenths or so on our 2nd place runner Cameron Martineau and pole sitter tonight. And you can see as the GT4s are now starting to make their way through the tail end of the TCR field.
Just starting to, and those drivers being awfully compliant and letting these guys go racing on through. Would have been a lot more interesting if Cameron Martineau were still in the back of Mike Dam, but as it is, Dam is really putting in some impressive laps. He just did a 27.9 his last time by, which I think matched his qualifying lap. Not bad, considering he's still probably got a half a tank of fuel in that car.
Yeah, exactly. And as we mentioned, that these drivers, they likely will be coming in for at least a single pit stop. We anticipate with the GT4s that they can go somewhere along the lines of 31 laps on a full tank of gas, and we think that the race is going to probably run about 40 laps for the GT4s. So, technically, the pit window for the GT4s is open right now, but, as we said, they could probably go up to about lap 31 or thereabouts before it will become critical to take on fuel.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who does that with a little bit smaller field tonight. Not the smallest field. We still got 20 cars out there running, but a little bit smaller field. It's not as risky to try and do that odd pit strategy and come in early. When it's got a full field at a track like this, that'd be pretty tough. But tonight, somebody might try it. Looking at that battle there of Walsh, Ford, and Payton, if you're Payton and you think you really do have better pace, maybe
you bring the car in now or at least soon and try to overrun, or not overrun, but to come out ahead of Kevin Ford when he finally pits. Yeah.
Well, we'll see if he bothers to try it. If not, maybe he does like running in this train. Maybe he's going to sip a little fuel back there. Maybe he'll run a little longer later on the play. Look at that line by Walsh running wide there, coming through that 910 complex. And as he comes up on the back of one of our TCR cars, he's going to have to figure out how he's going to duck underneath this guy with the TCR is probably going to let him by. TCR is probably
Marlon Jones hung the car all the way to the outside there to let him by.
Because otherwise, typically the TCRs are quicker through that section than these GT4s. Laying down a pretty good pace. These guys are running low 29s to give an idea. Cameron Martineau just did a low 29. In fact, the lap from Walsh and Ford was faster than Martineau the last time by. So these guys are certainly not slow by any means. Mike Dam right now is just showing the rest of the field that he may have the most experience around this track because he's a good second, at least a half, if not a full second lap faster than anybody. Impressive.
And as Dam is starting to come up on some more of that TCR field, we'll see how he deals with them. As I think he's got Jenkins in the 68 machine directly ahead of him in the Hyundai Elantra, and then just ahead of Jenkins, that would be Andrew Kissinger in the number 33.
As he just gets right up behind him, and he's got room now to be a little patient where he doesn't have to be super aggressive. Oh, but that's not going to help. Is he down?
And there's
he's
contact.
into the back of him.
There is contact, and Mike Dam goes into the retaining wall as he gets into, as both he and also the 68 of Jenkins get together. And and you can see there's Mike Dam, he had a downed wheel in the right front, and it looks like his race is now over.
No.
Oh, that is unfortunate, as our GT4 Pro leader is going to be likely forced to retire or spend a lot of time in the pits with repairs. That's going to move our pole sitter, Cameron Martineau, back up to the lead. It's going to move Walsh and Ford into second and third. And look at this, Larry. Look at how close Walsh and Ford have gotten to our leader Martineau as all that was going down. But real quick, let's jump back. We've got the replay all queued up, and let's see exactly what happened in that TCR on GT4 violence.
So if you see, it looked like Dan was going to be patient, and for a second there, I thought, okay, he's going to let me on by, but if you look like it just, Jenkins got a little wide, caught some grass, and unfortunately came back on the track. It does look like they're going to look into this. I would not be surprised if they let this one go, because what I saw from Jenkins is he just tried to stay out of the way, caught a little bit of grass. The car just got a little loose, and unfortunately for Mike, it wasn't the contact with the car that probably damaged his car. It was probably to hit the wall.
Yeah, it was on the right side of the car. I mean, and you could see as he went off on the final corner there.
I don't think because it was the right front, I don't know that he felt it so much going around the right hander there at 14. Had he realized, he might have gone straight into the pits, taken the repairs that way. But while he did his fuel stop, but unfortunately tried to make turn one and got beached out there on the outside of it.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. But again, watch this as Walsh and Ford have really started to close things up, and now also closing things up. Let's take a look here. Eric Violet, who finds himself right now all the way back. And didn't he say that he figured he was good for fourth tonight in the Civic? He is sitting fourth, having started second tonight in a great battle that he's got right now with Andre Saunders in the number 72 machine.
And we've seen some real speed out of Saunders in this series as well as some of our others. So we know that he's a contender in this. And maybe, as Eric had said, some of these guys are starting to get a little bit too talented in this field. And I think right now it's all coming true, unfortunately true for him. But I'm sure he enjoys this bit of the racing. This is certainly not a one-man show. Guys like Carlisle, Whitworth, and of course Saunders running quick, and Austin Knight quick too. Just had that unfortunate lap one incident. So it's a deep field that Violet's now having to figure out how many of these guys he can run with in his Honda.
All right. Well, and noted that as Eric thought that the Hyundais would be stronger, and I suspect that he likely meant the Elantra, who's got the longer wheelbase than the earlier Hyundai Velocitors. That also no Audi
No.
A3 LMSs here.
No, I haven't
right.
seen those as the 64 of Peyton comes in. So we talked about this. Who would be the first one to pit? Would it be someone in the top three? And it is. It's Peyton, who is just behind Ford and Walsh. He's going to take the early stop. He's going to get back out there and maybe try this undercut.
All right, as we do, we're going to jump back to that battle right now for second place with Walsh and Ford as they are mired right in the middle of this TCR action.
I think we now understand why David Payton decided to come in when he did.
Yes,
Didn't want to get caught in the overlap of traffic.
Yeah, I mean, he could conceivably just pick up a couple tenths just in this one section of track as those two GT4 drivers were working their way through. Who is that? Is that Husty, I think? In one of the machines, I think one of them was maybe Jenkins and the 37 of Husty as they were working their way through traffic. So we'll certainly know in at least probably another 10 laps or so.
Yeah, actually that might have been Jenkins and Kissinger. I'm just looking at those lap times there.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll catch up with them shortly as we've got out there right now Steve Daniel in that 96. Still chasing down another one of those DTD racing drivers, still trying to get by Brennan Horn. He's been behind him for essentially the whole 25 minutes so far. As Horn's going to try and give it to him by using some grass. That is one expensive lawnmower, but he's back on track.
And that's what I thought that for a moment there. He just pulled over drivers right to let him by it, but not so much to Steve Daniels' lament
I
there.
knew that Lamborghini started out as a tractor company. Did not know Aston Martin did.
I can tell you the Porsches had very a big following for tractors as well. But yeah, not Aston Martin as far as I know. All right, coming down the pit lane right now is Bobby Childs in the number 88 machine. So he pits in from the lead in GT3 AM. That's going to move Steve Daniel, who we were just following a moment ago, up into the lead in class. You know, maybe he's content to let Horn, when he stays on the track surface, pull him along, allows him to perhaps save a little fuel as well.
Maybe a little bit, but again, I think his pace could be a little better if he was able to get around Brennan. Brennan seems to be struggling with that bigger car tonight. I think maybe the balance of the Porsche might be a good fit for Steve tonight. Steve may want to try and get around him, or maybe try a bit of an undercut to get around him when he comes back out. Because remember, he still needs to catch up to Bobby out in front of him and himself and Brennan. So he's going to have to do something to Steve in order to get that strategy to work.
All right, and we jump back to that battle for third in TCR with Andre Saunders and Eric Violet. And you can see that Brandon Whitworth running in second is not that far up the road here. And I'm wondering if Whitworth would be willing to maybe roll out of the throttle a little bit and perhaps give a little cover to his teammate there from up behind, but not so much here tonight. It looks like he's really working on getting back up to our TCR leader. Yeah,
There's
there
the
you
undercut
go.
in play for Steve Daniel. Looks like he is going to come in now, even before the halfway mark. Probably thinking, hey, I can go in, I can get back out, and maybe force Brennan into some traffic. And maybe for Steve thinking he can avoid some of that by stopping now. We'll see how that works.
Yep, we'll see there if he can stop now, and maybe he can leapfrog Brennan Horn, currently running Horn now up into fifth in pro as some of those pit stops are now starting. But perhaps Steve Daniel can put himself in a little bit better position to bring the fight to Bobby Childs as this race winds down.
He's still in the pits, is Daniel. So he actually about a 4 second slower pit stop than Bobby Childs. So that's going to hurt Steve just a little bit. As I saw, Bobby had passed him while Steve was still sitting still. So he's going to lose about 3-4 seconds compared to Bobby's time there. So a little bit of work left to do in that Porsche.
All right, as we watch once again this battle in TCR, and I think either driver's making up any ground. Oh, and running wide into the grass,
both of them.
Saunders and also Violet, but Violet sees some violence. He gets into the wall, gets into the Armco driver's left, coming up the hill towards turn 2, and there's a lot of damage there, Larry.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's going to really hurt his case here tonight. I'm not sure how well that car is going to drive the rest of the way. As a penalty, looks like it's going to be assessed to that.
That's
68.
for Jenkins.
That's Jenkins, yeah, for his involvement there with former leader Mike Dam.
Yeah, so that is. I don't think it's going to change things all that much for Jenkins where he is currently in the field, and it's certainly no consolation for Mike Dam. I think here.
And it was nothing intentional, but the expectation of the league is you got to control your car at least, and you got to around traffic. Keep it under control, keep it on the pavement. So, but speaking of getting off pavement, as we've got a good look here at the damage left here on Eric Violet. If we were to see that, I think what we probably would see there is he got up onto the back of the car that's in front of him and he basically followed him into the grass and wasn't able to control it. And that's part of the problem here. When you're following tightly, as we're seeing Martineau do right now, it's difficult to see around the car in front of you. You end up trying to look through it. And sometimes you follow the guy. If he goes off, you go off.
And Larry, I think that Civic without the front end still looks better than a BMW M4 GT3. But it looks like Eric Violet going in at least for fuel.
Thorman. He looked like he went wide into the pits. Remember, he was in the battle with Peyton, the three of them with 4-2. Thorman was the last one of them to pit. He looks like he may have just cost himself 3-4 seconds. He missed the entry point.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out for him, but certainly not the grand entrance that Chris Thorman wanted to make on the pit lane. And there you go, making that long run down, and you can see, looks like Eric Violet got a quick repair. My God, those crew guys changed the front end on a Civic Type R faster than Audi used to be able to change transmissions on an R8 years ago. Seeing that we, just coming off a Le Mans weekend.
Yeah, timely reference. One thing to note, you just saw that the investigation looks like is ongoing. We didn't see it. It was an incident involving Kevin Ford and I believe it was Bradley Husty are the two that were involved in that. Now, Kevin, of course, right now in the pits. You can see him right there. And he should be exiting the pits if there's not much damage to repair any second now. But Husty also is involved with that. There you can see him in his TCR Hyundai. So perhaps there you go, and there's the incident responsibility assigned to Husky. So seeing a lot of incident responsibilities tonight. This is just becoming a tough place. It doesn't look like for passing within traffic, but tough place to be passed as the interactions are intense.
All right, well, Larry, we have a number of our drivers coming in for their scheduled pit stops, and you can see now making his way back out on track. One of our TCR drivers there. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break and thank some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll bring you action for Barber Motorsports Park up through the checkered flag here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
All right, and we are back here at Barber Motorsports Park for round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. And I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And as we still have some drivers cycling through, taking their pit stops, let's quickly run down and recap the field here as Cameron Martineau, who was our pole sitter tonight. He is your leader in GT4 Pro with Chris Walsh and now David Payton rounding out your top 3. Both Martineau and Walsh in the BMW M4 GT4 is David Payton in his Aston Martin Vantage. If we take a look at GT4 AM, Bobby Childs in his Aston Martin, currently your leader with now John Casey, who's had his fits of brilliance and not as much brilliance here this evening. I think he's had a spin or two. He is currently running second in the AM category in the number 78 Aston Martin. Steve Daniel in his Porsche Cayman currently running in third. And in TCR, Kevin Carlisle, pretty much from the drop of the green flag, has had this race under control. He is currently your leader in his Hyundai Elantra with Brandon Whitworth currently running second in his Civic, and then Andre Saunders in his Hyundai running in third. But Larry, we've got sitting down in the green room Mike Dam, who unfortunately his race came to an early end, and remember, even though Mike's Canadian, we were going to have our finger on the bleeper there just in case. I don't think we're going to need it. Let's bring in Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing BMW.
Hey, Mike, thanks for stopping in here mid-race. Not the exit of the race you were looking for, but boy, you had some amazing pace here in this first half.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I got nothing else to do right now, so I figured I'd stop by and say hello.
I appreciate that. What is it about this track? Because I'm sure we saw the replay there. I think it was Jenkins. Obviously, nothing intentional there. But what is it about the intermixing of classes, how hard it is to either be passed or make the pass in a race like this and a track like this?
Yeah, it's a pretty tight track for multi-class for sure. That was my go-to spot to pass. Part of the reason why I was pretty quick here right off the bat was but probably a month or two ago I grinded out a week of officials here, so did about 12 or 13 races. So I kind of had the track kind of I was just doing it by feel. It's kind of coming to me. So I've passed a TCR many a time there, and I was just unlucky that it happened that way. You caught the grass, and unfortunately there's just a wall there.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that really almost tempts you to be right on that edge. Even if you're the TCR, you're trying to let the leader by. You don't really mean to do anything. But the grass is just always right at that edge. The curbs aren't painted colors. The edges aren't painted. It's just that way. And as you're coming into that 11-12 complex up into 13, it seems the bottom drops out, comes back up, and the cars get a little bit loose through there, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very large crest. The road kind of goes from being cambered into the corner to kind of flat as well. So you just kind of lose grip overall. And it is quite normal to catch a wheel in the dirt. So nothing really against anything that happened there. Is just kind of unfortunate.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you do a lot of the public races around. Do you do that consistently with this car and just as track to track, week to week, or was this just one of those weeks you had a week off, nothing else to do, but burn a few hours on your sim?
Yeah, probably the second option there. I don't do it all the time, but yeah, this is kind of one of the tracks that I do enjoy, going around, and I'm pretty quick here. So yeah, I just figured I enjoy driving the BMW for sure, and so that was a good mix to have some fun. I don't know. I'm gonna chalk it down to just bad luck. um, because well, Travis has no power. Rob broke his shifter paddle right before the race, and then I had my unfortunate little crash there. So not a good day for Orion.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that the whole team kind of kept going down all in the same night. But I tell you what, it's making for an interesting season going forward. As you're not going to be able to collect any points tonight. Looking down the order here in the GT4 standings, Chris Thorman came into the race in second. He's still running out there, but had a bit of an issue, I think, coming into the pits a little bit ago. Cameron's obviously still out there leading the way. David Payton still running, currently up in third. No Jeff Jacobs, no Tony Kernan, no Travis. We've got a lot of guys that are going to get some points tonight. They're going to have to grind it out and earn them, but a lot of folks that aren't getting points, they're going to be on the outside looking in and hope to make this up as the season progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to get spicy.
There we go. Hey, real quick, talk about spicy, this battle that we've had on screen. Oh, and there's contact between Andre Saunders and Eric Violet as they come onto the front straight, and they've had David Payton sitting behind, who's currently sitting third overall, just sitting back and watching the two TCRs go at it for about 2 laps with really nowhere for him to go. But as Violet now makes his way clear of Andre Saunders, and Violet now moves up into third in TCR, it looks like Payton's maybe had enough and maybe ready to get by. Also, you were I know as you and Mike were talking about the issues that some of these drivers were having. I think Chris Thorman, Larry, might have had some additional issues beyond his John Allen-like issues getting into the pit lane. It looks like he may have spun last lap, as well as he ended up losing ground to Brennan Horn. I showed him as having been off track and losing control. So we'll hopefully be able to check that in just a few moments. Now, hey, quick, Mike, we were talking to Bobby Childs, and Bobby, of course, is the king of karaoke here in the Ricmotech series, and he was wondering if, since you're up here in the booth and with us, if you've brought any Canadian songs that that you can play, any good Nickelback or Rush or anything like that.
No, absolutely not. I'm gonna talk with him later, but.
All right.
I do appreciate how John Allen's made it all the way here to the Sportscar series.
Yes.
So that's a good idea.
One way or another.
Anyway, anytime we can get that reference in to hitting the pin entry wall, we go ahead and use it. It's fine.
He's quite famous,
Yeah, either going in or going out, one of the
it's
two.
His patented move.
Oh my! And hey, we're watching a real nice battle going on right now. This is actually, I mentioned that Chris Thorman, I believe, had spun, and both he and Horn were working together. It looks like Horn just pulled right over to let Chris Thorman by.
A full multi-21 going on there.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Except it's not the battle for the lead; it's the battle for fourth. So.
Multi-45.
Yeah, maybe. I think Seb Vettel would be a little disappointed by that, but.
These are great references for people
Larry.
that, if you're old and you've been watching racing for 30 years, these are great references. But
that's right.
The key here is that it is a teammates trying to figure out what's the best way to go, and perhaps Brennan was thinking that maybe Chris is a little bit faster right now. This is a lot about Brennan. Looks like he's just not up to his normal speed tonight. Maybe he can get the practice in. Mike, you mentioned all the time you would put in one of the public weeks around a track like this. How difficult is it to come into a Monday night race like this without that kind of experience and practice recently, and suddenly just dive right into 10 minutes of practice into qualifying? I mean, how difficult is it to get up to speed so fast?
Oh, it's definitely difficult, especially if it's a track you're not really familiar with. Yeah, luckily for me, I'm familiar with it, and kind of recently as well. But yeah, I mean, usually you really got to put the time in during the practices during the week if you want to be competitive come race day. Definitely difficult. Some people are really quite good at adapting quick. Some people need to do a lot of practice. It all kind of depends on kind of where you are.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those things that a track like this might be one of the ones that's hard to find that groove, find that rhythm. Some tracks maybe you could jump into. I know this is one of them. So certainly to me says a lot about the gap between the speeds of drivers that are out there, and who gets the speed early in a race and who might be a bit of a late comer. As leader in the race, Cameron Martineau, who was battling with you early on, has finally come in for his stop of the race. Cameron was able to get that jump on you going into turn one and hold that. And even though you were what appeared to be about a half a second or even more per lap faster, it still took you a couple laps to get by. Is that just Cameron was in a groove early, or is that just one of those, this place is just tough to pass?
Yeah, some of both. He was driving well at the start of the race. I will say, not to take anything away from him, but this track is kind of it doesn't suit the first place position on the start very well. If the outside guy can, get a decent enough start, you hold that outside line, and then you got kind of that long right-hander where you pretty much clear the car every time. So yeah, then I was just kind of patient. The tires were warming up. It's kind of loose. So it wasn't going to force the issue. It just so happened that he made a couple of mistakes, and I'm like, okay, now's the time. I'm not going to wait, right?
Yeah, well, you made, at least at that point when you decided to go, it looked like a pretty quick, efficient move, as the pack didn't really gain on you guys, and then once you got on by, it was just a good solid laps after that, instead of pulling away, which just shows you all that experience that you had here. But I appreciate you joining here and making sure we didn't have to use our 7-second delay button by getting at all angry. So we appreciate that. Sad exit to the race tonight, though, but I'm sure come back in a week or so, and you'll be right back up there fighting for the next one.
Oh yeah, I'll be back.
Absolutely.
Hopefully my teammates as well.
We're all hoping everyone's got their rigs working and their power back on by next week for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Right, thanks for joining
Mike.
us.
Yes.
All right, there you go, everybody. That's Mike Dam from Orion Racing, driver of the number 93 BMW. He was our leader in points in the championship here coming into tonight's round. And I guess lucky for Mike is that a lot of other pro drivers had issues tonight and couldn't make the race. So I guess if there's one for you to do poorly, and perhaps this will be his drop week, and perhaps not, but in the whole scheme of things, probably didn't hurt him all that much.
It'll be interesting having a lot of the top drivers missing this week as well. Maybe not hurting him as much. Certainly a great opportunity for those like Cameron Martineau to be able to get a strong finish, assuming he could still get through. And then here in the M category, kind of the same for Bobby Charles, as we've got the camera on him, is he's got a pretty good lead over Steve Daniel. But I would like to take a look at, as Whitworth just went into the pits, the battle with he and Carlisle had gotten down to about a second and a half as Whitworth came into his stop here. So he'll take his stop, and I suspect in about a lap or so, Kevin Carlisle is going to do the same. We'll see where those guys come out, if they come out together, because it could be a sprint to the finish here in TCR.
And as I'm watching Kevin Carlisle bring that Hyundai Elantra around, perhaps not what I expected. Now, look, having raced a front-wheel drive car myself, the only thing that the rear tires are really good for is keeping the exhaust off the ground. But he's getting the rear end to step out and getting a good amount of rotation, which in a front-wheel drive car is a good thing to have. Yeah. I'd rather have a little bit of oversteer than a lot, terminal understeer in one of these cars. But we'll have to watch how he manages here going forward, and perhaps with not Violet, but pardon me, Whitworth taking his pit stop now, and of course his tires are going to cool down a little bit, but he seems to be in a good place on track with maybe a couple of GT4 cars to possibly pull him along. We'll see what happens when our leader finally decides to come in.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting, and I'm really curious because
and
here
he
is right now, so we might get our wish. It looked like also the pit stop for Whitworth is very quick, very efficient, so we'll see if Kevin Carlisle can match that and get himself around a 10 or 11 second pit stop and get back out of these. Are some really quick stops here with these TCRs. And that hands the lead in class over to Andre Saunders. who is running the 72, and I believe Kevin Carlisle's car looks like it's running in the 72, but he's actually the 27.
27, yeah, exactly.
There's the Mohawk Racing 72 of Andre Saunders now in the lead, at least for the moment. He looks like he's the last car on track that'll take his pit stop. So I don't know if they give it we should be getting a point awarded for leading a lap, but I think he's leading his class for a lap. So we'll see how that goes. As there goes the 42 of Whitworth. He's now ahead of Carlisle, who had a very long stop.
As Carlisle, much longer stop. He now comes down the pit lane and is going to rejoin. But as he does, he's gonna rejoin what, almost 11 seconds back from that's from let's see, Whitworth.
Yeah, Whitworth's about 12, almost 13 seconds up. And I think it's all the pit stops. So you take a look at the stop times. The time for Whitworth, 11 seconds. Time for Carlisle, 24 seconds. So there's your delta. I don't know if he decided to take on tires, and perhaps he maybe just forgot to check that little box that says don't take tires. Unfortunately for Carlisle, that's going to hurt him. Just to move positions now, he's got to get around the man we talked to in the pre-race, Eric Violet. Yes. Yeah. So with the limping front end, having already been into the wall tonight, so we'll see if Eric can hold off Carlisle behind him.
All right, as we have just about 10 minutes remaining here in tonight's battle. And Larry, one of the things, and again, we know that the numbers are down a little bit for tonight's race, but we've had very good a large number of pickups and new drivers, and we've had some new drivers out here tonight in both GT4 and also in TCR. One of the reasons is we've got a great prize for our TCR and GT4 drivers here in the Sports Car Series that we're going to be giving away to one lucky driver a gift certificate for 5 hot laps in the supercar of their choice. Well, we're going to limit which cars they can do, but they'll have their choice of a number of exotics at the exotic racing facility at Speed Vegas Motorsports Park. It's a $300 gift certificate that includes some driving and classroom instruction, as well as 5 hot laps in cars such as a Ferrari F430 F1, a Lambo Gallardo, Porsche GT3, a Nissan GTR, a Mercedes AMG GTR, which I think would be great, a C8 Corvette, a Shelby GT500, you name it. There are any one of a number of different platforms that they could drive with. And what we're going to be doing is at the end of the season, we're going to be holding a raffle. And for every point that you score in the series, that will be one little ticket in that raffle in order to come away with the prize. So definitely something to fight for, as Andre Saunders is as well. And as you mentioned, Larry, I think our very last TCR driver to come in for his pit stop. He's pitting in from the lead in the number 72 Hyundai Elantra.
Well, we'll see if he comes out in front of that battle for third right now. It's Eric Violet and Kevin Carlisle, your former leader in class. If he's able to come back in front of them, he could at least secure the second spot. And he's already at pit exit. As you can see, there goes Whitworth on by. You're assuming that now the new leader there in TCR, there's Saunders, and behind him should be the battle of Violet and Carlisle. And
yeah,
there's
and there they are on the front straight coming into turn 1. So Andre Saunders pits from the lead, comes out in second there with Violet now in third. And Kevin Carlisle, who had been our leader, now finds himself, and after that amazing start from Carlisle, where he had really just walked away from the rest of the field to start things off here, he now finds himself back in fourth.
So one of the things I mentioned is that we had talked about that maybe 10 minutes in. He had about a 3-second lead on this field. It was really looking strong, and the one thing I did mention is, hey, this isn't the longest race, but it still could be a matter of saving tires. Just before this pit stop there for Carlisle, his pace had come down a little bit, and it was Whitworth was essentially within a second of him, and we were speculating whether or not there was going to be a swap of the lead even at that point. Carlisle came in. I think he took tires because I have a feeling his front tires may have gone away.
Well, we know that the rears weren't doing much for him, but I would suspect the way he was perhaps overdriving the car a little bit to build up that early gap. I mean, it's going to come back to haunt you at the end. And as a matter of fact, in practice earlier this week, a lot of the drivers, were seeing very heavy drop-offs in times towards the end of the race. It's just, it's a gamble. You got to see, and especially when you're one of the last cars to come in for that pit stop, it helps if you have somebody who can pick out whether or not drivers are taking those taking tires to kind of determine whether or not you need to.
Yeah, well, as you can see here, it looks like Eric Violet finally just gave up the effort there and said, all right, go ahead, Kevin, I'm not going to be able to hold you off. And so he does move on by, probably still feeling for Eric some of that damage to his Honda that he took earlier in the race. So Carlisle is back up to third, but 8 seconds, no matter how good his tires are, he's not going to be able to close that on straight efforts alone. So right now, Whitworth and Saunders kind of the last to fight it out for the win here in TCR tonight. Carlisle wondering, man, if I could have just saved tires early, would I have been able to avoid taking them at my stop?
Yep, and there you go. Dennis Branch back in the production truck did verify that Carlisle did indeed take tires during that pit stop, which, given the amount of time he was on the pit lane, makes sense.
Word from them and talked to the tire guy. Said, "Yep, we did," or just watch the replay. Replay just gives away all the secrets.
Yes.
But
Oof.
yeah, so he's at this point he's still running strong, but to be able to close that 8-second gap in the next 6 minutes is going to be tough to do without some help in front. Now Whitworth and Saunders, they may be limping tires home to the end, so there still could be something to be said. Still 4.5 seconds between them as there's a good shot of Brandon at number 42 there in the Honda. And we'll see if he's nursing tires or if his tires are still as fresh as they were an hour ago.
Yeah, and you saw coming into that shot just behind as Saunders was sandwiched behind 2 of the D2D iRacing Aston Martins. So maybe Whitworth maybe Saunders getting a little bit of a tow. But it's amazing here also watching, Larry, that some of the GT4 cars, as we mentioned, and we can see here from the timing that they are turning in many cases around 1 second to 2 seconds a lap faster than the TCR cars. But you get one of these GT4 cars right behind a TCR entry, and there's not much they can do about it because, again, where the BMWs would typically have an advantage, it's very much nullified by a lot of the cornering advantage that the TCR cars have.
Yeah, it really is. But the other thing about this track is there's a couple of spots where you can use some blunt. You can use a little bit of torque. The GT4s definitely have it, certainly coming out of turn 5, turn 8, and honestly, even coming out of the front straight out of 1. There's a couple good spots where torque helps. But if you don't get that run out of those corners where the GT4 is stuck behind the TCR, it does nullify some of that. But this is just an odd bit of track. It's not your classic natural terrain type of circuit, not like a Road Atlanta, Road America kind of place. This is the modern age of, put 3.5-4 miles of track on a very little bit of acreage, so you end up with a lot of this zigzag back and forth kind of stuff. It makes it for an interesting layout to be able to put multi-class racing on, and I tell you, it's a challenge. It's a handful out here for sure.
All right, so we've now got 3.5 minutes remaining here from Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and we're watching our overall leader right now. That is Cameron Martineau in the number 438 BMW M4 GT4. He was your pole sitter tonight. Had a great battle going on with Mike Dam, who we just had in the commentary box here a few moments ago, and has managed to work his way back into the lead and just trying to manage the equipment to bring that 438 machine home.
Yeah, a couple other battles we had kind of noted earlier on, kind of see how they've played out. Steve Daniel still trailing. He's a second in the GT4M category. He did, however, get around Brennan Horn, as we had saw Brennan kind of intermix with teammates and such, but there's Steve, who we had one of our pre-race interviews. So he's able to get around, now running 6th overall in the race, or 2nd in the M category here tonight, as he's right there behind. I think it's Austin Knight there in the number 21 Hyundai Veloster.
It is.
It's Austin. One of our commentators here on Apex Racing TV. One of the more enthusiastic commentators, if you've ever heard Austin call a race. He used to call this very series here in the Ricmotech series a couple years ago, and always full of energy is Austin.
That's right.
So.
Still trying to catch his breath.
He's exciting, even in the interview we had with him recently. So he's a good kid. I call him a kid. He's probably over the age. As it looks like he may be yielding to letting the faster GT4 Steve Daniel go on by, and there's Brendan Horn, that number 45.
Brendan Horn flashing the headlights as well, letting Knight know that there is another car back behind him.
Yep.
Either that or Brennan's just trying another button on the steering wheel he didn't know he had. Yeah, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
see that you can see as Knight flashes his lights as they go on by.
If there's one button you have to program in your sim, it has to be your flashlights button. So that anything with headlights like GT4s, LMPs, GT3s, you've got to know where that button is to use those at even in broad daylight like we are here, just for the sake of using it. But don't mix up that button with your pit speed limiter.
Yeah,
FYI.
I was just gonna say don't. And oddly enough, every time I press the button, my windshield gets cleaned off. I don't understand it, but
AKA the tear off button.
yes.
All right, so we've got a couple of the. There's the D2D drivers there. The 88 of Bobby Child leaving the GT4 AM, and then right behind them should be the 60 of Chris Thorman, sitting fourth
yeah.
in the GT4 Pro. They're trying to get
Right behind them is Eric Violet, as we're now under a minute left to go here from Barber. So as Cameron Martineau makes his way down through the
white flag lap?
the Alabama version of the corkscrew, we should be, I think, Larry.
Awfully close.
Yeah, we'll see here.
Building the anticipation
Given that we've
for
only got
what's
about
either a
20
white
seconds
or
left to
checker.
go on the lap, I think. Oh, and it looks like, I just noticed off in the background, it looks like we had a driver go off. I believe that was John Casey in the 78 machine. Was recovering.
I'm not sure what sort of algorithms the sim uses to throw white flags.
Oh, here we go.
It
Yep,
looks like
with,
it's checker.
There we go. Clock has expired and coming across the stripe and taking the win. There you go. Cameron Martineau, driver of the number 438 BMW M4, representing ST Racing Esports. Congratulations to him. And as we're now watching the rest of our pro field, that's actually Bobby Childs, our GT4 AM leader. From D2D iRacing, coming around the final couple of corners here with Thorman closely behind. But we've got now finishing second in GT4, Chris Walsh in his BMW comes home in third, or probably comes home in second. David Payton comes home in third. There you go. And crossing the stripe, taking the win in TCR will be Brandon Whitworth. Congratulations to him. So we've got Bobby Childs has crossed the stripe to take the win in GT4 AM. Whitworth taking the win in TCR. Andre Saunders in the number 72 Hyundai Elantra will come home second in TCR. And then what could have been finishing third tonight in TCR is going to be Kevin Carlisle there in the Hyundai Elantra. So we've got, looks like the rest of the field now has come across. So as we mentioned, Martineau, Walsh, Payton, your top three in pro. Chris Thorman finishes right off the podium in fourth. Brennan Horan will finish in fifth. In GT4 AM, it is Bobby Childs, then Steve Daniel. Russ Ruddick brings his car home in third, and then John Casey crosses the stripe. He will come home in fourth, and I think we've already run down the TCR field there. So let's do this, Larry. As the remainder of our drivers come across the stripe, let's take a quick break. We're going to thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to interview some of our podium finishers here from Birmingham. You have just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
we're back here at Barber Motorsports Park, where we've just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And just to recap, we had in GT4 Pro the 2 ST Racing Esports teammates, Cameron Martineau taking the win, and Chris Walsh finishing in second. David Payton from D2D E-Racing will come home in third. And in GT4 AM, Bobby Childs takes the win with Steve Daniel and Russ Ruddock rounding out the podium. And finally in TCR, D2D E-Racing's Brandon Whitworth takes the win in his Honda Civic. Andre Saunders from Mohawk Racing, Kevin Carlisle, our pole sitter in TCR from Nerdworks Racing, round out the top 3. And so, Larry, looks like we've got the trifecta here. We've got at least both of our STE Racing folks lined up, and we also have Brandon Whitworth, our TCR winner. So let's do this. Let's bring in Brandon from D2D Racing, taking the win tonight in TCR.
All right, we've got our TCR winner here tonight, Brandon. And Brandon, that was an interesting race to say the least. To be able to come out there on top is actually saying a lot, but a lot of attrition tonight. But walk me through your race and how you saw it go.
Well, I almost saw it in on the first lap. I didn't realize Austin was down inside, so as soon as I caught that, I backed out. And I don't know if Eric didn't see him down there or what, but I dodged that one.
Yeah,
and then after that,
it looked like it looked like Austin kind of caught a lot of curb and kind of came across there a little bit. But did you? 3 wide down there isn't always the easiest outcome.
That was a terrible idea. So I backed out. As soon as I caught it, I didn't know he's down there because my spotter is saying right side. Well, there's a lot of people right side. So I caught that, backed out, and then I managed to dodge that, and then Carlisle now running basically the same pace. I was just like hoping that traffic would break my way, and it kind of did before the pit stop. And then I don't know what happened in the pit stop. I'm gonna talk to him. I think he might have messed up his pit stop a little bit because I expected to come out behind him and we might have a good race there. But
I think he took tires.
Yeah.
But his tires may have been going through the race, and but you did not take tires. So were you thinking about that going through, about managing towards the end of the race, or were you just 10/10ths and hoping to catch him?
I was trying to drive as smooth as I could, which I wasn't really doing a good job of, and hoping the tires held out. So there was no taking tires. That was not going to be a strategy that was going to work for me.
Yeah, well, you managed to save enough tire and then had to hold off Andre Saunders there at the end. But otherwise, this is just a tough race, but in your class, but also tough intermixing with some of the GT4s. I don't know if you had any intermixing with them, that how difficult it was to even let them by at times.
Yeah, for the most part, I didn't really have any issues. You have to back off and let them by because the classes are pretty close together here at this track. Actually, they have been this whole season. So
yeah,
just got to be flexible.
Yeah, it's been tough. Tracks like this and Zandvoort are where you always have the wheel turning somehow. Always makes it tough for interclass mixing. But tonight you managed to come out on top, take home that victory for the team. Anybody you want to give a thanks to here for this victory tonight?
I got to shout out our sponsor, Proformer Elite Texas Graphics, and of course Ricmotech for helping with this series, sponsoring the series, and the guys that run the series that do a good job. And my teammates, especially Eric Violet, who didn't have a good race this time, but we're working on the cars, and I think we're finally getting the cars somewhere until we get some speed out of them. And of course, my family for letting me do this crazy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have their buy-in to spend this time on the sim. But time paid off tonight and came through with a victory for you and the team. So congratulations, Brandon, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Brandon Whitworth, driver of the number 42 D2D E-Racing Honda Civic Type R, your winner tonight in TCR. So let's follow up Brandon with Andre Saunders, driver of the number 72 Mohawk Racing Hyundai Elantra. He finished tonight second in TCR.
All right, Andre, interesting race tonight. You had a couple of great battles. You come out in second in the end. Walk me through some of the fighting and some of the battling you had going on.
Hey, good night, guys. Totally unexpected. I'll take the second place, but there is more people that were deserving of this particular finish. Um, Last week, or the last race we had, it was really bad because in the middle of the race, I just lost total power. So in VR, that was very daunting. But anyway, I'm glad to come back and, finish up with a second. I love wrestling with these guys. You guys do an awesome job on that broadcast and all that good stuff, man.
Well, I appreciate that, but tonight was as much about survival as it was about raw speed tonight. But you had a pretty good battle. I think it was going on with Eric Violet there towards the latter third of the race. But you guys were having a good scrap there. Were you still? I think at that point, maybe before the pit stops, but were you just enjoying the moment, or were you really trying to make sure you fight for that spot towards the end?
To tell you the truth, I maybe had maybe 20 laps of practice, man. I didn't
Wow.
get a lot because my machine has been down, so I've been trying to just in between trying to get some practice and stuff. So I really didn't feel confident going in the race. I know I kind of like this track the way it flows and stuff, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out there, just turn the laps and hope for the best. And I guess this could have been the best that would happen.
Yeah, well, that definitely worked out well. We were mid-race talking about how difficult the track this is to learn, how practice pays off. If you could pick this place up and if it happens to flow with your rhythm, I think it's a good sign. This is a tough track to learn, and you showed tonight just a couple seconds there behind Brandon for the win, but coming home in second. No small feat in this crowd. It's a tough class to compete here in the TCRs. Anybody you want to give a shout out, the thanks to here tonight?
Just shout out to you guys for doing the league, Frank for Ricmotech for doing the league, Kevin and Jeff, all these guys, Eric and all these guys, Brandon. Thank you for allowing me to run with you guys and just being able to up my game in this particular class with these guys because I know these are good caliber guys. And other than that, just my buddy Omar, that's always there doing my mind control. But that's it, boys. That's it. I appreciate it.
Well, that's awesome. So, congratulations, Andre. A podium finish here, second place tonight in TCR, and we'll see you in the next round.
Thank you so much for having a wonderful night.
All right, there you go. Andre Saunders, driver of the number 72 Mohawk Racing Hyundai Elantra. Don't tell Andre that I do mind control also, but Larry, he is just so freaking humble. That absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of humble, why don't we bring in Bobby Childs, driver of the number 88 D2D E-Racing Aston Martin. He was tonight's winner in GT4 AM.
All right, Bobby Childs, who tonight had a victory in the AM category, but boy, you seem to have a couple of teammates around you the whole night. Every time the camera was on you, tell me a little bit about your race.
Oh man, I am just absolutely thrilled because I didn't reckon die on lap one. That was the going bet that I wasn't going to make it past lap one, just like I didn't last round. But you know what? Everything worked out. Had a lot of fun here. It got kind of dead in the middle. Ended up not around anybody. Really only kind of racing the track for a good 20-25 minutes, and I was starting to get snowblind, just wondering what was going on. Had I made all the right choices with my life? Should I go back to school? I just there was nothing happening.
Were you thinking about fashion choices at this point? Maybe a hair color change, maybe time to go hip. Is it those kind of things flowing through your mind too?
Yeah, I was thinking how I would look in skinny jeans. Maybe that would be my new thing. But
I appreciate that you're giving Stubby in the crowd something to ponder, as they get ready for the next week. Is what is Bobby like in skinny jeans? But seriously, Bobby, a good solid race for you tonight here in the AM class. You really laid the smackdown, for lack of a better way to put it. But you were running right there with the pro class. You ended up fourth overall in the race. Did you put a lot of time in this week? Did the team really come together to find the right setup?
Yeah, David and Chris really did the heavy lifting this week. They did a lot of work on Wednesday, and then on Sunday, me and Brennan came in, and we really never even tweaked anything. It was just hit the track hard and fast, and we started working on the racing line and our race pace. And I got to give props to Chris and Dave on all the setup work they did for this GT4.
Yeah, it seemed to work pretty darn solid. as you had Peyton and Chris there around you quite a bit. You had Brennan Horn running there with you, kind of running blocker there for a while in front of Steve Daniel, your main class rival there. But right at the end of the race, even Chris pretty much pushing you across the finish line. So pretty good teammates you got there. You guys all seem to be on a pretty solid pace.
Oh yeah, we have a good time. I do wish Chris had a better run. He was running real well right at the start. You guys saw it; it was just absolutely amazing. And then he saw the spider on the track, and he's got a bad thing for spiders. And we kept telling him all week, "Don't look at the spider! Don't look at the spider!" But he looked at the spider, and y'all saw what happened.
Yeah, apparently he saw the spider when he pulled into the pits. But but your race though, Bobby, another great race tonight. If I give away the secrets here, it looks like we got a points updated. You are now tied for the lead in the AM category. You and Russ Ruddock sitting atop at I don't know how many points that was, but you guys are tied at the lead in the AM category. So congrats on the win tonight. Congrats on getting up there. Anyone else you want to give a shout out and a thanks to tonight?
Always to my team, D2D, the List family, our patriarch Andrew, who is now finally engaged to the love of his life. We send all of them huge congratulations and hope they're all doing well. Big shout out to Jakob ER Sim Racing. Sent me my new Aston Martin wheel. I broke it in tonight. It was a great way to break this wheel in. It's beautiful Aston Martin GT3 reproduction. As always, Skull Sim Gear for picking up the team. Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. We thank Chris and Jody for all they do for the team. And, of course, a big shout-out to you guys and to our race official, Ryan, who is now back in the saddle after having welcomed a brand-new race official into the world a couple of weeks ago.
You started young, right? All right.
Oh, well, yeah, drive-through. Drop the bottle. That's a drive-through.
Well, Bobby, congrats again tonight for a strong finish. And sorry to see that you weren't able to join us for the karaoke in the middle of the race. But instead, we have Mike Dam out there giving us just a little bit of some Anne Murray in the middle of the race. But maybe next time, Bobby, you can join us.
Man. I'm sad I missed that, man. We could have sang it as a round.
All right, Bobby. Well, appreciate you joining us tonight. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk to you in the future.
Skinny jeans.
Congrats, Bobby.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, D2D E-Racing's fashion icon, Bobby Childs. And thankfully, Larry, if he gets called to sing at that wedding, he could either do the Black Sabbath or maybe the Styx song Snowblind.
I'll break out Boats and Hose.
He's still here.
Oh, my. All right. Thank you very much, Bobby Childs, driver of the 88 D2D E-Racing Aston Martin. So let's move over to the GT4 Pro category, and we're going to move to our second place finisher tonight, the first of two teammates from STE Racing, driving the number 4 STE Racing BMW. It's Chris Walsh.
All right, Chris Wallace has joined us here tonight. Second overall finish here in the pro category. Great finish for him. But Chris, early in the battle, you had a battle there with Kevin Ford and one of the D2D drivers. You were able to get around him, but tough battling there tonight. Walk me through some of your race.
Yeah, I was obviously happy with the result. To go 1-2 for STR was pretty awesome. Cam drove a great race, but yeah, I didn't have a great practice, so I just kind of needed to learn on the fly a bit. So I just kind of said, hey, I'll do the best I can in quality and kind of sit with the pack and see where my pace is. And it seemed like 3 through 6 were kind of all in the same place. So I found I had a bit more braking capacity into the hairpin, I guess. So that's where I made both of my moves. I have a lot of real world experience at this track, so I know that's a great place to put someone off their line going to the backside of the track. So that was kind of my strategy.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys, who are in this sim, a lot of folks are just sim racers. We know that you've got some real world, and in fact, in GT4s, in fact, even at this track, does any of that pay off when you come back into the sim, or is it more the other way? The sim helps you prep for real world.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. I think when you do enough real world stuff, you kind of learn that there's more places to pass than the sim maybe gives you the perception of. It feels really tight, but you kind of learn how to more the racecraft side of things, where you kind of get people, you know, where to put your nose just to get them to change their line a little bit, and then, you know, and then make a move later down the track. Maybe not in that one spot you're trying to push them out. So that's kind of, and it goes the other way around. You know, it allows you to push the limits a bit in the sim. Where a place like Barber, you don't want to go too over the line because it'll bite you pretty good. So.
We saw quite a bit of that tonight. A lot of biting. That grass is awfully close to the edge, and where you're kind of teasing it most of the race here tonight. Um, but having done that in real world, are you more conservative in the real world? And when you come back to the sim, you know, okay, I can put this thing 2 wheels in the grass and just fine. Or is there lessons learned that you have to carry over?
Yeah, I think you're always just a touch more conservative in real world, but honestly, there's some more runoff in certain, especially in the kink and the back straight, and then in the carousel, there's a bit more curbing there. So I go in the grass quite often in the sim because I'm really used to being able to carry the car out wide, and I was like, oh man, I'm about to crash. So I had to usually reel it back in on the sim side at this track specifically.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, when is your next real world race?
I will be at Road Atlanta driving a Cayman GT4 in July, and that's kind of the next thing, and a Porsche 944. So it's kind of a double duty day for me. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, a couple of Porsches there. Any thoughts of using the Porsche here in this sim to sort of stay in practice, or you still liking that BMW?
Oh, I love the Cayman in the sim, but STR is a BMW team, so driving for them dictates what car I drive. But it's actually, it used to be kind of a handful, but they've done a great job with the update with this car, and it's way more competitive. I've driven the M2 in real life and SRO, and they're pretty similar kind of car, so they're really good cars in real world. So it's nice to see that it's got that kind of matching pace.
Yeah, it seemed to be a solid platform out here and a solid run for yourself and for your teammate here in SC Racing. We'll talk to Cameron here in a second. Anybody else you want to give a shout out thanks to here for your podium finish tonight?
Yeah, just obviously thanks to my wife always. I got 2 little ones, so she's handling all that while I'm in here driving for an hour plus. Thanks to STR Racing, what you guys do, the broadcast, and everyone at Ricmotech. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris Walsh, second place tonight in the pro category GT4. We'll talk to you again in a couple weeks.
Have a good night.
All right, there you go. Chris Walsh, driver the number 4, finishing second tonight. So let's bring in his ST Racing teammate, our winner tonight here from Barber, Cameron Martineau, driver the number 31 BMW M4 GT4.
All right, Cameron Martineau has joined us, our race winner here tonight. And Cameron, not the easiest race win, although the margin at the end might have been some pretty big one there. But boy, you had an early battle and then still having to deal with traffic. Tell me a little bit of how tonight went for you.
Yeah, Larry, it was definitely not easy. Mike had the pace all night. I really had no answer for him. So, I really just got pretty lucky tonight. And, I knew right off the bat that I had to be aggressive at the start in order to get in front of him, because if I could at least try to get in front of him, then, maybe I could hold him off, because he just had mega pace. And, just a couple mistakes, in the first half of the race allowed him to get by me again. And then I didn't see what happened to him, and it was just a shame to see him have to pull over, because Mike's one of my good friends, and he's very quick driver. So I would have loved to see if I could keep up with him, through the traffic when it was ebbing and flowing like that. But, once I saw that happen, it was basically just cruise control mode and really not take any risks near the end of the stint, and bring the car home clean, because, anything can happen here at Barber, as we saw tonight.
Yeah, we did see a lot of that. Anything that can happen here at Barber, a lot of the interclass mixing and a lot of that grass coming up along the edge of the track and biting folks. But tonight you're able to keep it clean and watch the others sort of fade around you and come out here on top. In fact, even ended up with one of your teammates up there on the podium with you. So that's got to be a little bit of an extra feather in the cap as well for the team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was great to see, Chris and I go run 1-2. Chris was definitely pretty happy about it, given his, pace and practice. And yeah, I mean, definitely, first 1-2 of hopefully, many to come. So
Yeah,
we're ecstatic.
it's a great result there for ST Racing and a victory for you as well. Gonna really keep you up there in the points here as we approach the midway of the season. So, anybody want to give a shout out and thanks for tonight's victory?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to give a big shout out to, the ST Racing team and Sam, in particular for, her support of us. And, she was it was nice to see her in the, my Twitch chat all night tonight. And, I want to just give a big shout out to Chris and my spotter, Bill Anderson. He does, a great job keeping me calm all night. So especially, things can get a bit heated in the car for sure. And I just want to give a shout out to my friends and family that support me, you guys in the broadcast booth and the admins to the league. You guys put on a great show and great league. And it's the reason I come back to the series.
Absolutely. We love this series. We think it's one of the best ones out there, and the talent like yourself makes it even better. So, Cameron, congrats on the victory tonight, and we'll see how this goes as you're now the points leader overall. We'll see how long you can hang on to that going ahead.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, there you go. Cameron Martineau, driver number 31, ST Racing, BMW M4 GT4, tonight's overall winner from Barber Motorsports Park. And, maybe if we turn Bobby Childs loose on Cameron's Twitch chat, I wonder how that would affect him. Might need another team member there to keep him cool over the course of a race.
Need some mind control help.
Exactly. All right, so Larry, why don't we go? We're going to wrap things up here. From Barber, and let's take a look at what events we've got coming up on the Ricmotech schedule. Next week, that is Monday night, June 20th, the Classic Sprint Series. Those are our Mazda MX-5 racers. They're going to be heading down to southeastern Australia, to Victoria and Phillip Island. Should be a great battle down there. Another track that's really big on motorcycle racing, just like Barber. We'll see how the MX-5s fare there. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to be covering the Sportscar series once again for round number 4 of 7. We're going to be heading out to the West Coast. Going to be heading out to the Dry Gulch, or probably the Dry Lagoon, and that's WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. You'll be able to see all of our GT4 and TCR cars out there once again, and it should be a great battle from that historic racetrack. And then finally, remember, keep it on your calendar, mark it down. I can't tell you which track yet, but as we get a little closer, I'll let you know. August 22nd, Monday night, August 22nd, the Ricmotech World Challenge returns for the first round of 7. Those are our LMP2 and GT3 entrants. And as soon as we get closer and we know a little better idea of the schedule, we'll definitely fill you in on where we're going to be for that first round. So, for Larry McLeod, for Dennis Branch, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. Again, we'll see you next Monday night from Phillip Island. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.